My brother's been in a coma for 2 years, and I just found out he heard every single word we said about pulling the plug. Danny's accident happened on his 25th birthday. Motorcycle versus semi-truck on Highway 6. The doctor said he'd never wake up, but I visited him every day anyway because he was my little brother, and that's what you do. Mom stopped coming after month 3. It's not Danny anymore, sweetie. That's just his body, she'd say when I begged her to visit. Dad lasted 6 months before he started talking about letting him go with dignity. I was the only one still treating Danny like he was there. I'd tell him about work, about our dog Max getting into the garbage, about stupid Netflix shows. The nurses thought I was losing it. One day I was complaining about our upstairs neighbor's loud music when Danny's heart rate spiked on the monitor. The nurse said it was just a coincidence, but it happened every time I mentioned loud noises. I started testing it. When I talked about quiet things, his heart rate stayed normal. When I mentioned concerts, construction, or fireworks, the monitor would beat faster. The doctor said I was imagining patterns that weren't there. Then came the family meeting from hell. Mom, Dad, and the doctor discussing quality of life and what Danny would want. I sat there watching my brother's face while they planned his death. The insurance won't cover much longer, Mom said. Maybe it's time to let nature take its course. Dad nodded. The doctor started talking about withdrawing life support. That's when I noticed Danny's eyes. They were moving back and forth like he was trying to say something. I grabbed his hand and whispered, "If you can hear me, squeeze my finger." Nothing happened. My heart broke all over again. But then 5 seconds later, the weakest squeeze I've ever felt. So light, I almost missed it. "He squeezed my hand," I shouted. Everyone looked at me like I was crazy. "Muscle spasms are common," the doctor said gently. "It doesn't mean consciousness." I looked right at Danny and said, "If you're really there, do it again." Another tiny squeeze. "Danny, if Mom and Dad are talking too loud, squeeze once. If they should keep talking, squeeze twice." One squeeze, so definite that even the doctor noticed. "Ask him something else," I demanded. Mom asked Danny his age. Nothing happened for 30 seconds. Then slowly, 25 tiny squeezes against my palm. The room went dead silent. The doctor asked Danny to squeeze once for yes, twice for no. "Are you in pain?" 2 squeezes. "Can you hear everything we say?" 1 squeeze. "Have you been aware this whole time?" 1 squeeze that made Mom start crying. That's when I asked the question that destroyed everyone. "Danny, did you hear us talking about stopping your treatment?" 1 squeeze. Then Danny's eyes focused directly on Mom and Dad for the first time in 2 years. The doctor immediately ordered new tests. Turns out Danny had locked-in syndrome, not a coma. He was fully conscious but paralyzed and couldn't respond reliably to anyone except me. Over the next few months, we developed a communication system. Danny told us everything. How he heard every conversation. How he knew about Dad's affair before Mom did. How he listened to me, read him Harry Potter books, and looked forward to my visits. The worst part? He heard Mom tell her sister that it would be better if he just died. He heard Dad say, "I can't do this anymore," outside his room. But he also heard me promise him every single day that I'd never give up. That's what kept him fighting to find a way to communicate. Danny's recovering slowly now. He can move his eyes and sometimes his fingers. The doctors call it a miracle. But here's what really haunts me. We almost killed him. We were 3 signatures away from ending his life because we assumed he was gone. Now, whenever someone asks about visiting people in comas, I tell them they're listening. Even when you think they're not there, they're listening to every word.